Hello, Madristas and fans of the Let's Be Real podcast. Welcome to another preview. Today we preview the match day 34. It's a game against Celta de Vigo. Celta also a team that's, competing for European places. They're currently seventh in the league, and we're going to be hosting them, at the Bernabeu after the back of what's been a very shambolic month, more or less. Uh, I think April has been really quite eye-opening. We lost to Arsenal, we lost to Barcelona, literally dumped out of two competitions. We also, dropped points in the league as well. Hence, we are still behind Barcelona. Actually, we still, but we look forward, to the La Liga games. We have 5 games left in the league, including the game against Celta Vigo on Sunday. And to discuss all that today, I'm joined by Sahel. And
Hi,
just
Mark.
before we delve into things, let's just do some housekeeping and shout out, Manscaped, the sponsors of today's episode. So you can get a 20% discount on Manscaped by using the code LBR20 at checkout, as well as Fanatics as well, the premier suppliers of sports merchandise. You can find the link to all that in the description below as well. We're, a part of the Talksport Fan Network. So yeah, just show the channel from love by, clicking these links and, finding more about that and, making some purchases to support the podcast. Anyways, without further ado, let's dive into things. How are you doing, Sahil? How is it going now? What's the expectations like considering what's happening in the month of March? Are you more optimistic for the month of May?
Yeah, obviously, this past week has been a tough one for us Real Madrid fans. We basically saw our season unfold, and our European hopes crumbled in front of our eyes against Arsenal. There was only Copa del Rey to sort of salvage what is anyways a pretty shambolic season. But against Barcelona, as you know, we had it for a moment and then we gave it away, and that was pretty disappointing. Then the whole 4 or 5 days beyond that, between then and now, have been about Ancelotti's departure, about Rodrigo leaving. Three of our defenders are suddenly injured, and two of them have undergone injuries. So it's all haywire at the moment, and the summer literally couldn't come any sooner for us, because now the end of the season is in sight, and as it stands, we have no trophy to show for. Right, La Liga is not in our hands. The best we can do is win all the games we have remaining. And Celta Vigo is a team that we have an incredible record against. And regardless of that, I think we need to view each game, each opponent, no differently from the last, except maybe Barcelona, because there we actually have to, maybe we can one up with a goal difference situation. But it's a different thing. Uh, like I mentioned, Celta Vigo, we have an incredible record against them. 19 of our last 21 have been victories, and they've only picked up 1 point in their last 12 away La Liga games at the Bernabeu. So it's an opponent that we usually do well against, and I like you use the word optimism. I don't think that is, it fits anywhere in our season now, because either way, even if we go and beat Celta Vigo 4-0, 5-0 tomorrow, we're still looking at a pretty terrible season by our standards. So in that context, I wouldn't say I'm optimistic about anything this season. Uh, the time is gone already beyond. The time for that was already beyond us. But I do think that a few, good performances to end the season and to possibly end Carlo Ancelotti's stint at the club would be. Um, it wouldn't be finishing off on a high, but it would be something.
No, that's quite interesting. Actually, for me, I kind of felt like the second half against Barcelona actually showed me that this team can actually fight, has a fight left in them, And yeah, of course, we considered the last goal in a very shambolic fashion with I don't know what Brian Diaz was doing on that pass. But anyways, it is what it is. But I kind of feel like, personally, for me, I feel if we win out 5 games, we win the league. That's just the view that I've always, maintained, that if we can win the 5 games, I do believe that we win the league. And as we've seen, like Barcelona are not infallible. Of course, Inter Milan are an absolutely great team as well. They showed, uh, what they showed how to, to pick Barcelona's defense. And Barcelona also showed how to break down Inter Milan's defense as well. So that was, quite a interesting game, just yesterday. But yeah, I generally, I want to remain optimistic that, if we can win 5 games, we win, of course. But any points dropped, as I said, and the season is over, and I jump to the camp of, the concept of optimism is more or less gone. Well,
Yeah.
anyways, you talked about, Carlo and Watson. So like, what's your whole take with the whole Carlo issue? Like, we're hearing Carlo is going, Carlo is not gonna go to Brazil, he's gonna go, he's not gonna get paid, he's gonna get paid. Like, so what's the whole thing there?
Look, I do think that it is the end of a cycle for Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid, and it's a separate thing, and we've discussed this at length before. But as far as him leaving the club on good terms is concerned, I do think that, like any other legend at Real Madrid, there might be a sort of bitter aftertaste with his departure, even though the club might make it seem like he's leaving on good terms because his relationship with the board and with the president has always been on a positive light. I do think that not paying him the remainder of his contract salary, which is just 1 season, is kind of petty for a club of our stature. And I don't think these reports are entirely true as of yet. But if it does turn out to be true, and if it does turn out to be the breaking point between Carlo and Brazil's national team job, then that is yet another low for our season. Surely, be it off the pitch. But yeah, that's just the way I look at it. It's a bit shameful. But yeah, we've said these exact words, quite a few times in these past few months. So
Yeah, when you say shameful, it's another thing. Like, I don't know if you're aware, but like RMTV also made another video against Gil Manzano, actually, citing the Bellingham goal against Valencia,
yeah,
the last year. So it's quite shambolic, especially considering after what happened, and with the whole, Antonio Rudiger's gotten, you say our defenders are falling like flies. I agree with that, but I mean, Rudiger is suspended for 6 games anyway, so it wasn't like he
right,
was going to play any game anyway. So, like, we have 5 games left, so he's going to miss the 5 games at the first game of the next season. Lucas
yeah,
Vazquez got 2 games suspension, for the that's going to be served in the Copa del Rey, and then Jude was, out of it. I don't know I didn't actually see the altercation with Jude or whatever, but yeah, that's just the thing. Like, we have a team that's full of, arrogant, players that, like, feel like they're entitled, although they aren't. So it's quite a shame, like, unfortunately. But this is the reality of things. Like, one thing we've come to understand, that this is a team that, is being enabled by the board, by the staff, by everybody, to just, to feel like they're above the law, to feel like they're invincible. Although that's not the case. We've seen, performances where they can't, stand up to the games. And when you look at the game against Barcelona, at the Copa, and the outburst from the players to the referee, it's quite interesting, because that shows me everything. It's understandable if, like, okay, yeah, oh, you had a pen, the ref didn't give you a pen, or you had this and this. Bro, they literally had a pen in the 90th plus 4, and the ref overturned the pen. You know, that's in your favor. Like, I don't know what else you want the ref to do. For me, I feel like the ref,
right,
if anything, was even, or was impartial towards Barcelona. That's, if
yeah.
anything in that game. But yeah, our players still felt
Because
like,
there are
nah,
two
like,
calls. Remember, Farouk, Rudiger on, I think it was Yamal.
Ferran, was it? I think it was
Ferran,
Ferran,
Ferran.
no?
You Rudiger on
Yeah,
Ferran, and there was another Ceballos and somebody.
yeah. Yeah, I remember. Actually, I remember. That's why I said, like, like, those were 2 pens that, if they were given, you can't say anything about that, because the way those were rush tackles, and the Ceballos one was actually very similar to the pen we considered against Arsenal, if you
Exactly.
remember. So it's that's the thing. Like, you cannot say these things, but then you look at how the players reacted to the ref, and I'm like, okay, then this is just the thing. Like, they believe they're hype, and that's the worst thing that can happen, is when you guys start to believe you're hype and you haven't done shit. So it's
Yeah,
it's it's quite it's quite strange. It's quite shambolic. But if anything, we know that we need a reset. We need a cultural reset. We need a mentality reset and all that. And it just seems like Carlo is not the person to do this. But I don't know about the news we keep hearing about Carlo, like thereof. Like, it seems like it depends on which angle you're from. We don't just know how it's gonna be, and it's, I don't know. Whatever happens, this is just football. This is, like, very rich people dealing with each other. This is just the monetary things. There is nothing we can say.
yeah,
Just the point is, like, yeah, Carlo's done a lot for this club, and we appreciate him. We thank him. But Real Madrid doesn't do farewells, man. I mean, what happened with Casillas, with Cristiano, with Ramos,
right,
and
right.
just to name a few. So It's nothing new. Well, the interesting thing is going to be about what the future of Rodrigo as well, because we're hearing that Rodrigo wants to leave. So that's also something that's going to be quite interesting. So let's see how that pans out. The summer seems to
Yeah.
be, it
Yeah,
seems
the
like it's going to
Rodrigo
be,
reports
yeah.
I don't really buy that much, Farouk, because Rodrigo and Vinicius, I wouldn't say I see them as a package, uh, but I would like to think that Rodrigo wants to spend the rest of his career at Real Madrid one way or another. He will make something work, even if he has to be under the spotlight, be under the shadows of Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius for a while. He will make his mark, and if anything, the lack of attention on his name it might work out in his favor once he regains form and he regains confidence, because that's all that's missing this season. Last season was a pretty solid season for Rodrigo, I cannot lie. Maybe not in terms of the numbers, he did not have as good numbers as Vinny, but it was definitely not as low as what this year was. And when we compare the two again, it's his lows are definitely not as low as Vinny's lows, and his highs are probably not as reachable, as what Vinny does when he's on form. So it's a matter of form, and I'm not worried about that. Right? Many Madridists have mentioned this week that the form is not something to be worried about because it can be regained next season. It's the mentality that really worries me. It's the reaction to the refs. It's the self victimization, right? It's the lack of blaming internal internal factors rather than just exuding all the blame on the external, the referees, the situation with politics, whatnot. So I don't like that, and maybe next season a reset in the club's culture with a new coach possibly could help fix those things. But with regards to the mentality and how much freedom has been given to this particular set of players at Real Madrid, I do not think Carlo Ancelotti has it in him to regain the and I don't think they lack the respect for him, just the authority over this dressing room, to bring back, that sort of humility, if I can say.
I mean, I don't think that's the thing. Like, that's actually why. That's where, like, I feel like I am. I kind of feel like with Carlo, it's not about the lack of authority. I think he enables this because Carlo was yellow carded in the game as well on Sunday or Saturday. He was yellow carded in the first half as well. Let's not forget, 2 games ago, Carlo was suspended because he accumulated 5 yellows in the season. So this is the, like, it's not about. I don't think it's like Carlo like wants this guy to be calm. No, Carlo is a gentleman, of course, but like I kind of feel like Carlo also has enabled this thing. And let's not get this wrong. A coach can never reset the culture at Real Madrid. Never. The coach will never be in that position. One thing has to be that this is what Real Madrid has been. But this is the first time that we are seeing the players buy into this. Well, at least
Yeah,
this is the first time
truly.
I'm seeing the players buying. So we need the coach to reset the culture of the players. What Florentino Perez
Definitely.
does
The
and what
dressing
they
room is
do,
what I mean.
exactly.
But when I say the culture within the club, maybe not the entire club, but within the dressing room, I do think that a Xabi Alonso or a Raul might have even a Zidane might have the authority to reset that
I
within
actually
the minds of the
disagree.
players.
I actually disagree with that. I don't think a player like Xavi Alonso, a coach like Xavi Alonso or Raul actually is able to do this. Zizou maybe
Not
because
Zidane.
Zizou maybe, but the point is we need a very authoritarian coach, even if it's not
Have
going
you
to
seen
work.
Raul's, just his body language in the Castilla games? He's the
Yeah,
closest thing to Diego Simeone.
as you said in the Castilla games,
Yeah, but still, that's something. I don't think
that's
he's going to change when he
no,
comes to the
that's
first team.
okay. Then, like you say to Vinicius, what these are people that starred in 2 Champions Leagues. What would you say to those guys?
Sure, but I don't think he's going to change all that much if he does end up being promoted, which is rather unlikely at this point. It does seem to be chubby, but yeah,
I don't know.
let's
I
see.
mean, I hope they're able to change that. I hope, but I just feel like right now with these players, like you need a madman, man. Like even if you're gonna lose games or whatever, you need someone who's gonna like make them understand that yeah, like honestly I'm saying like a big name. I know Jurgen Klopp and Real Madrid will not happen because I feel like they're opposite. Like it just like I just feel like personally, they're
Yeah,
just two opposite people. That's
philosophies as
just
well.
it.
Yeah,
Exactly. Like personally, they're just two opposite people. Like Real Madrid as an entity and club as an entity are just two opposite people. But honestly, like you look at someone like an Antonio Conte, like Antonio Conte will never work for Real Madrid, but just for the sake of disciplinary.
yeah, especially long term.
I think Conte would not last 6 months at Real Madrid. Long
Exactly,
term,
he would
short
not
term,
even 6 months.
whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever. Conte will not
Conte,
last.
probably not
But
even Tuchel.
Tuchel got the England job, so I don't think he's going to leave that. But I think,
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah,
those are the
absolutely.
guys that, like people, kind of like put their names and respect them and like, oh, like this guy, like, tactical coach and stuff like that. But I think when you
Right.
look at a player like, Xabi Alonso, a coach like Xabi Alonso is still very young in this trade, like these players are going to be like, we've won shit, like, what have you won? So this is the thing, like you need a coach that actually they would absolutely respect it, if possible fair, fair. That's just the thing, like, so. But I don't know how it's going to, because let's not forget what, like Mourinho did for Real Madrid. Like,
Right.
Mourinho created that reset that you're talking about, that dressing room reset.
Absolutely.
Mourinho
I wish
created
we had another Mourinho at this point, but
Mourinho
it's just
created
not
that
possible.
reset. So this is just the thing. But let's see. But honestly, like, going back to Rodrigo, actually, like, I also like would not agree with you, because last year, at the end of last season, I criticized the hell out of Rodrigo. I said Karim Benzema left. Rodrigo needed to step up. Last
It
season,
wasn't
Rodrigo
much.
did not step up.
It was a
Rodrigo
much
absolutely did not
better
step up. This season is
towards
an
the
even
end. Sure.
is a lower low. This season is
Yeah,
a
I do
lower
agree.
low. You
Yeah,
understand? But I
yeah,
do think when you look at the front three, like Rodrigo is the one that's primed for being shipped out, because I think the front three doesn't work. But personally, for me, as I've said, the low of Rodrigo is not as low as the low of Vinicius. Vinicius's low is absolute negative on the team. For Rodrigo, you
right.
can say that, okay, he puts an effort in defense and whatever, whatever. And because of that, I will honestly want to keep Rodrigo on the team. I've criticized him a lot, but after what I've seen with Vinicius Junior today, sorry, this season, at least for the past 3-4 months, yeah, I know that Vini has maybe the highest ceiling on this team, but come on,
Exactly.
there's a price for everything, man. There's a limit for
Right.
everything. That's
Right.
just the thing. So I would rather prefer Vini moves, but I think that's not never gonna happen. But let's see, how that goes, man. Let's see. Yeah.
How do you
So
think our defense is going to be with all these injuries? So we had one Partey Medico after another the other day.
So
It
I
just
mean,
looks
you
like a
talk
dire
about all this,
situation.
but what's new there? There is nothing new. Alaba is coming
Yeah,
off
but
of
now we have nobody. Like
injury.
literally, now we have
Uh,
nobody.
no, I mean
The
the
last
point
man
is
standing was Rudiger, and now it's just Raul Asensio, I think.
Raul Asensio. I mean, it's the formation is Lucas Vasquez, Raul Asensio, what's he called, Chouameni, and Fran Garcia. This is just what it is. Or Edu Camavinga can fill in as a fullback.
Yeah,
Valverde
okay.
can fill in as a
Kama,
fullback. That's
isn't
all we have.
Kamavinga injured as well?
Oh, sorry, Camavinga is out till the Club World Cup. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Right.
I missed that as well. So that's the only thing we have right now. It's Fran has to hold the fort, and that's been I've always complained about Mendy. Availability is the best ability. Other than last season, when was the last time Mendy was available?
A long time ago.
Last season was the only time where Mendy was like completely reliable. Other than that, like Mendy has not been available for a very very long time.
Yeah, and we when he has been available, even his defensive abilities have been
Well,
questionable.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. He's lost that invincibility that he had as a defender. That's absolutely true. I agree with that. So this again goes to the point that this squad needs a deep surgery. We are stacked up top, but in the midfield we need a player. Defenders, we need absolutely brand new centre players. You have a centre back, although 25 has two ACLs. You have Mendy, absolutely made of glass. Fran Garcia, you don't know what he is. You know,
Right,
and you look
right,
at Danny Carvalho coming back off an ACL. Okay, maybe you get Trent there somehow. You know,
right.
you need absolutely two centre backs, two senior starting centre backs. The whole concept of Asensio and this Asensio at best is going to be a filler. Asensio is going to be a filler. Asensio is not going to be the guy to start. Asensio has been phenomenal, but Asensio
True.
still needs maybe a bit of development. Let's see, maybe
Yeah,
one
I
two
don't
years down the
disagree.
line. Yeah, we need fullbacks, we need centre backs, we need midfielders, and we need a number nine. We need a number
For
nine.
sure, for sure.
So what happens, so that's the thing, like the team requires a lot of construction. So now going down the stretch, we have these 5 games that are absolute finals. We win them, we win the league. We're gonna go with the center backs of with the center back pairing that at the beginning of the season weren't given options. Raul Asensio and Chouameni. And now, God forbid, if anything happens to those ones, what happens? You go to start looking at the Jacobo Ramon. I think Joan Martin also is back, if I remember correctly.
Right.
So those are the guys you start to look at then. Or I don't know if there's going to be something else. Who else can you play as a center back? Fede Valverde.
Fede Valverde can play anywhere, so I wouldn't be surprised.
And that's the thing. Actually, my fear actually is now. It's actually sad is that we're going to go through the summer, get a new coach, great trend, and the market is closed. And then you're going to wait for like an opportunistic signing. Or you're going to, oh, they signed this 17-year-old Brazilian. He's going to come in the summer of 2099.
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised at this point, because after Shamboli, what happened in the summer of the 18-19 actually? Who did we sign?
In the summer of 18-19, that was after we signed Jovic and all those guys, right? We signed Jovic, and Hazard, I think, in 2018,
Militao
right?
as well, yeah. Militao.
In the summer of 2018, yeah. I think in the summer of 2018, 2019, Vinicius joined.
Yeah, so after that terrible season, after the Ajax season.
Yeah.
Well, that's when we signed Jovic, Hazard, Militao. I think those were the three. Mendy as well. But Mendy and Militao were good signings.
After the Ajax season, what happened? Did we sign anyone? I can't remember right now, actually.
It was these four when Zidane came back.
It was this four, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So two of them sort of worked out, and yeah, the other two didn't. So actually, even a signing like Militao was back in the day, or like what Mendy was back then, I wouldn't mind it. Even bringing back a Miguel Gutierrez wouldn't be the end of the world at left back.
Wouldn't be, actually. I agree with that, actually. Like Gutierrez can be a very viable option, but the point is that you're seeing, for instance, you saw yesterday what Denzel Dumfries offered to Inter Milan.
Yeah.
We keep going. We saw the day before what Achraf Hakimi was giving to Paris, and what what's he called, Marcel Kelly was offering to Arsenal. And you look at Real Madrid right now, and like there is absolutely no outlet from these guys. Absolutely no outlet. You want to talk about defensiveness? Oh yeah, Mendy is good defensively, but Achraf Hakimi is not bad defensively. He's good defensively, and he offers offensively as well. You understand? So we look at this and like, so what is or what is not? What is or what is not? So yeah, it's crazy, man. Honestly, I don't know. But anyways, like we were just talking about what to expect from the defense and from the team.
So you say that if we win all of our remaining games, we win the league. Barcelona's remaining games, apart from us, are 20th place via the lead. They're not losing that. 13th place, Espanyol. I don't think they're losing that either. And then the other two games, Villarreal and Athletic Club, who are 4th and 5th. Exactly. Those are the real ones we can bank on them to drop points in. So yeah, I'm not losing hope. I just don't trust us to win all those games that we have remaining.
The point is, like, if we can win all 5 games, which one of them, of course, includes Barcelona away, that's the big deal. I mean, if we can win one of those, I do think Barcelona is going to draw at least in one of those games.
Right.
I don't think Barcelona is going to draw in one of those games.
But let's again, see, Barcelona have time and again this season shown their grit and their determination.
Yeah, but again, they've not been invincible. They've shown that they have some capabilities to also drop points here and there, and we've seen that.
Yeah.
We've seen that, and also I point out the game against Inter. Although of course, like, these are two big teams, two major teams that are locking horns in the semifinals of the Champions League. So yeah, there is that. But could be. That's just the thing. Let's and also the problem again is about the fact that the depletion of our team. The way our team is getting depleted, and people are falling left, right, middle, center. And now a lot of pressure is going to be put on Dani Ceballos as well. He's coming back of an injury. You don't know what's going to happen. Maybe he's going to have a relapse or not. And we're hearing that Rudiger has been playing with this injury forever and ever. So it's going to be quite interesting to see, because now, as I'm saying, like, if any of these guys get a yellow card or like a suspension, then we're done. Lucas Vazquez gets suspended, we're done. Who's going to play? Like, then you play what's he called? You play Fede Valverde there, and then like you're short on midfielders anyway because like Kamavinga is out.
Yeah, at this point with this defense, I don't know how we're going to even look like half a team going into that Clasico.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part, man. But yeah, it is what it is. We have to just
Yeah, and you know what, Farouk? Our last three wins in La Liga, we won three in a row, but it's all been 1-0. So we're not scoring all that much at the moment.
yeah. Well, that's also another problem, right? That's also another problem. Honestly, we've not been able to. Well, I mean, that's the point, right? So like we see all of this, and these are challenges that we wish we could overcome, but we're not just too sure because of what our players, yeah, what
Right,
our players have like have shown up this season. So like you're not too comfortable about what these guys can offer you,
right.
and this is the fear there. Actually, this is honestly the fear, but. Let's see. Hopefully, like maybe they show a reaction. We've been waiting for this reaction forever and ever, but they've never shown us this reaction. So this is where you know Well, again, as you said, like in the summer of 18, actually after the season of 18-19, I
Yeah,
think in the summer of the 19 before the 1920 season, we got all these players, right? So maybe we're able to see something like that as well, this time around, because when Cristiano left, I think Cristiano left in 2018, right? We won the
Yeah,
Champions League.
after 17-18, that's where
Okay,
that was
so
the three.
exactly, yeah. So that was the end of the tribute. So he left then, and then we had the shambolic 18-19 season, and then the 1920 season we got this, new shiny toys. Of course, Luka Jovic, Eden Hazard didn't work out, but Ferland Mendy, Rodrigo, you know, um, Militao, after the stalwart of what we've done. So let's see. Hopefully, like we get a certain kind of reinforcement that as well for this team, but not too sure about that honestly. But yeah, let's just see. We talked about the defense. We know Thibaut is going to be in goal. What do you expect to see in the middle of the park for the game?
So Ceballos, I do think Modric is going to start this one. It's not going to be a very physically demanding game, I don't think. So Ceballos, Modric, and so we have Vasquez at right back. So probably Valverde and Jude as well. I do think one of Rodrigo and Vinicius might get benched, or even Mbappe. I'm not sure. Mbappe won't get benched, but one of Rodrigo and Vinicius. So it would have to be Ceballos, Modric. Well, realistically, yeah, Ceballos, Modric, Valverde, Jude, Vinicius, Mbappe is what I would go for. But realistically, I do think then Modric comes out of the equation and you have Rodrigo in the team.
Okay, so you're saying
Just
Ceballos.
purely because of how bad Rodrigo was, right? I would bench him.
I see. So you're saying it's going to be Ceballos, Fede Valverde, and Jude Bellingham for the midfield, and then Rodrigo, Kylian Mbappe, and Vinicius up top. Yeah,
Therefore, yeah,
I can't argue with that. That's close to the best that we have right now. Although, like at least on paper,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
just the thing. On paper, it's that. Well, anyways, before we round things up and give the predictions, let's really see what's in the chat. Ashik,
Sure.
as usual, Ashik says, like, come on, y'all, let's be real. Can we really pull through in the last four matches of the season? Yeah, Barcelona is shaking in their boots next weekend. The mighty Real Madrid is coming to get hammered. And Ashik was saying 800 million package for Carlo Vini from Saudi. See, amen and sell them. So he was saying to you, like, Mourinho is still alive and active. We don't need another Mourinho. We can still get the same one. Nah, that Mourinho is expired Mourinho, man. So you were saying, like, sell the three Brazilians. Brazilians today are living off the reputation of their past legends. Well, I agree with that. Like the Brazilians that we know of the past, the Ronaldos, the Ronaldinhos, the Rubinhos, the Kakas, they no longer, exist anymore. It's a whole different breed right now. It says we are talking about all these signings in the summer. Watch, they will sign no one or maybe one and claim the team is complete. We won't sign 17-year-old Brazilian. We will sign a kid who is not born yet. The mother is still in third trimester and hoping to bring him on in 2050. Bench Vini and Rodrigo for the rest of the season. Yeah, I mean, makes sense benching Vini and Rodrigo for the rest of the season, but who do you put on? Okay, yeah, I mean, we have to give credit when it's when Arda came on. He had a very good impact in the Glasgow. That's just the truth. And we
Right.
also saw what he did in the previous game as well, where he scored the goal. So here you go, like you can see performances from this players if given the chance, if put in the right situation, but yeah, with Carlo, we know like he's never gonna bench Vini and Rodrigo for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Again, that
Uh,
is why in the predicted lineup I did mention that realistically Rodrigo is not going to be benched. So who knows?
yeah, exactly right, exactly. Well, anyways, let's see, and then let's just wrap this up by giving the predictions. I'll go first. I think Real Madrid wins this game 2-0. What about yourself?
I was gonna say 2-0 as well, but looking at the dire state of our defense, I do think we're going to concede. So 3-1.
A 3-1 Real Madrid victory. All right.
Yep.
All right, folks, that's all from us today. And before we sign out, let's just give a shout out to our partners, Real Madrid Committee on Instagram. Just just give them a look. The link to them is in the description below. Just give them a shout out. Just a thumbs up. They actually make a lot of nice, fun arts about Real Madrid pre-game, post-game, so you can, find a lot of cool stuff on their page. And also don't forget to, subscribe to the channel, like, and also tell your friends to tell your friends, to just show some support to the channel as well. And with that, we sign off by saying Hala Madrid.
Hello, Madrid boys.